Schöneberger.
So, lieber Alex, was sagt die Technik? Ja, Aufnahme ist gestartet. Das müssen wir uns morgen wieder treffen, dann das alles nochmal machen. Michael wird sich bedanken. Good to see you again for the next topic. We're really glad to have Wendy and Mansilla with us today. She traveled from Trondheim to Berlin, so she can explain us her project. Her artist talk is entitled Co-Creating Narratives, Artistic Approach in the Digital Anthropocene, and we're really looking forward to your presentation. But I would first would like to present you to the auditorium. Wendy and Mansilla is an interdisciplinary artist, researcher, and designer based in Trondheim, whose work bridges digital media, human-centered design, and immersive experiences. Blending scientific inquiry with artistic experimentation, she engages audiences and promotes sustainable practices. Her public installations include an interactive light and sound space and a design of a multi-use outdoor laboratory at Adressaparken in Trondheim, earning recognitions like first prize in place by design at SSW. Thanks, Andrew. As art director and principal investigator for the EU-founded Ultimate Water Project, Wendy promoted circular economy practices in water management through immersive installation and co-creative workshops. Her work has been internationally exhibited, including at STRP, Laboral, Pixelbergen, SIGGRAPH, and the Copenhagen Art and Design Factory. She also contributes to Horizon EU projects, sharing her expertise in design and innovation, and mentors students to advance art, science, and technology. Wendy, we are intrigued by your topic.
So, this is probably a little bit new to all of us. Co-creating narratives in the digital age. Yeah, hello? Yeah. So we already know that what is Anthropocene. But digital art, of course, is an artwork that is created through technology, nothing more. So when we say co-creating narratives, this is nothing new. Just by looking at these photos, we know that this is not something. When we say co-creating, it's not a single creator. It is a contribution of several individuals. It has a community, as you can see. It has this collaborative nature. So that's what we will try to explore right now. So me, I was already been introduced. So you can just take a look at the photos. This is Adressaparken, and this is down here is one of my installation at the Adressaparken. And Adressaparken is like a laboratory. It's a multi-use play space, meaning that if you want to install your artwork there, it's possible. If you want to use the sensors, it's possible. So digital artworks are possible in a space if there is a technology. And that's what we did. We put technology in a space, and has been successful. Andrew we will explore more about this later. And I was also introduced as I have been involved with the EU-funded Ultimate Water Project. What is special about this project is that we utilize digital art installations. We use co-creation and all these things. This is quite new because You know, here we are trying to solve social issues, and then transform that social issue, or like try to create a solution, no, by putting people together through co-creation, no? Try to figure out what their problems are. It's like really like trying to solve an issue, no, social issue, and then at the end of the day, we try to create an immersive experience out of their ideation pace. There's a lot of paces that are involved, and this I was discussing this to several people here. How do we, as an artist, communicate with engineers? And we had a solution for that. How do we communicate as an artist to people that are not artists, you know, that are not creative? Our solution is to use, actually, what happened? So actually our solution was, there's a gap, yeah. Okay, our solution was actually to use a tool, we call it Playbook. It's a tool that we actually created some sort of a template for them to follow. It's more like a design thinking. No? When you are in the design, it's probably new to some of us here. It's like also an artistic process where you have to follow certain steps. It's not by intuition mostly, but mostly based on some design principles. Like you have to follow. First you have to ideate, which is the same process that you do when you have this creative work. You have to think, you have to introspect, you have to ask several questions. So these are the same thing, but in this way we have a playbook. We can like play instead of just not knowing where to start. We have to have these certain steps to follow, like as if you're playing a game, a board game, you know. So these are the things that we developed actually. I mostly developed these things. First is the multi-use play space. It's a playbook, and the next is the ultimate playbook. So because of this, we are able to bridge the gap between the engineers and the artists. And the artwork that we want to produce, we made it possible through this playbook, through this series of steps, guides, and all. And this is how it looks like. It's actually very comprehensive, very structured, and step-by-step guide. It's like we just, it's more like a storytelling, you know. We ask them to sit down and play, not knowing at the end of the day they are really like ideating or solving a problem or trying to imagine something, you know. And this helps me as an artist to actually analyze what they really need. And then at the end of the day, it's like the result of co-creation is powerful because you get to own it. The ownership is a community. It's a process that involves a community. Everybody thinks that, oh, I own this project. I own this, you know. I know, this is what I want. This is what I want to happen. Me as an artist, okay, I have this vision, but they have their own vision. I have to combine it together. And this is actually what I mean by artistic collaboration or artistic research in some aspect. It can be a question of, you get to know what are the questions, the inquiry that other people think about, you know. It's not just the artist's input, but also people all over you. I mean, the community itself, they have their own idea of what needs to be done. And you as an artist, you have an idea, a creative thinking, you know how it works to, how to present it. And they probably don't know how to present it, but at least the input that you got from them, you really get to engage them through this. And not only that, they become more, the ownership, you know, the ownership that they get from this, they become more like, okay, I did this, this is my idea, this is part of my idea, you know, it's not only yours. So this is what we do. unfortunately, I don't understand why it's not playing. So in Ultimate, I want to go back to Ultimate because we did this co-creation process. At the end of the day, we come up with this kind of installation. It's actually called immersive narrative experience. It's immersive narrative installations. No? So when you go to one of the projects is this, you can see kids here. No? It's in one of the museums in Livorno, where we installed this, and then we let kids play with it. And it's very interesting how kids and adults interact with the installations. The kids enjoyed it more than the adults. So why? Because, you know, adults expect a lot more. They are less creative, you know. It's all about play. That's what we... But also, it's like, it's not only about play. They get to learn about the environment. What are the consequences of each and every objects in this table? For example, I put this object in here, and then it responds, the environment responds to it. For example, I put one of the objects there is a water plant. If I remove that water plant, what will happen to this environment? The fishes will die. So these are the things that I portrayed in these installations, that what are the effects of all these artifacts? For example, an island, if I remove an island from this ecosystem, what will happen? So all of these things, if I add them in the ecosystem, what will happen? The fishes will thrive. If I add let's say a water, like this water, a lake in this city, what will happen to the city? It will thrive. So if I remove it, people will die, or there will be chaos, or something like that. So all of this, you know, the kids, for example, are the ones that really appreciate it more. So, and so on. So we have a lot. So we also have some sort of like a Pokemon game in Netherlands, this one. So it's like solving a problem about water. You know, you go from one place to another, you learn how the water system works, and in this particular area you have to solve a problem where there's a problem in the underground of these pipes. How do you solve it? And then how do you conserve water? This is a question. And also there's another one installation in Denmark where you try to figure out what's the best industry. You know, there's this called industrial symbiosis in water. They try to, in the real world, they try to make it like, it's very technical and complex. How do we make it appealing to the public? How do they understand all these processes? So this is what we try to solve in this thing. Unfortunately, I can't show the video, but maybe next time. So this symbiosis AR sandbox, we are supposed to bring it here in this space. So the same way as I explained to you about the same way as this, the same thing as you see this tabletop. This AR sandbox is actually is a little bit similar to that. It's an immersive journey that highlights the profound impact of human actions on environments. So this sandbox, actually, we are supposed to install it here. For some reasons, maybe next time, who knows. So if you can balance it's like an earth, you know. So if you have more water in a certain region, for example, what will happen to the nature? More fishes will thrive, but actually, for example, flooding, storms, more water is present in that environment. There will be probably more fishes that will thrive, but the land animals will die. So all of this has a complex relationship in the environment, and that's why we call it symbiosis, and this is one of our projects actually. Symbiosis operates as a digital ecology where users interact with the ecosystem model that mirrors real-world ecological dynamics. Each action within the sandbox reinforces the concept that human influence impacts the balance of life in an ecosystem, serving as a microcosmic reflection of the real-world ecological interactions. So you can imagine how a small space or a small installation can be such powerful means to portray the ecological balance of nature, you know, the cause and effect. So this is what I'm trying to show here, that our actions have an influence in our environment. So through digital art, we are able to actually show this, which is also can be shown by photos, paintings. But what is the difference between digital art and probably a painting or a photo is that you can get more involved in a way, like you can be like God and play the game, you know. But of course, you can also play with your mind with the paintings. But for some, you know, it's not very intuitive. But for here, probably for younger people, it's more intuitive to just push the sand, put it here, and see what happens, you know, to the environment. And then you know, okay, if I do this, this is the consequences of my actions, which is very powerful. So with all this, I don't have to, so we have all these consequences in the game. It's more like a game-like world. So when I create a game-like or interactive environment, I have to make sure I have a script, you know. It's scripted. It's not like, everything has a process in a way when I create my artworks. As we call, there's a boundary between art and the game and then the technology. Why did I say this is an artwork? Because it gives the users or the subjects or the participants, whatever you call it, the viewers, like a feeling that they are part of this, a feeling that they can transform the environment. And after that, they can realize that, okay, this is more than just a game because it influences my actions. It influences my beliefs. It influences my consciousness and awareness. And this is actually what is, for me, this is what I mean by artistic research. You have an inquiry, and then you try to do that in a process. And you ask questions among the people. I mean, you ask your own self about questions. You ask everybody to contribute. Sorry. Oh my God. Oh. Hey. Sorry. Thank you. So this is what makes make me thrive as a digital artist. It's more like, maybe if I collaborate with the engineers, they don't even know what is the inquiry or questions that I have in my mind. Or maybe they do. I mean, I have to explain to them one by one, you know, in a different language, in a way that we communicate in different ways. But the most important part of this is that you, as an artist, you already know in your mind what you want to achieve. Like, I want people to be aware, for example, of this particular issue or problem, and then from that we build step by step in a process. And it's exactly the same as any traditional artwork. The only difference is that we are working with different people. We are co-creating. That's how we co-create narratives. When we talk to people, the engineers, we have to co-create the narrative. We talk to them like as if we are engineers. If we are co-creating with the ordinary citizens, with children, we talk to them, we communicate to them as if they are, as we ourselves are kids, you know, like this is how we co-create narratives. Me, myself, this is based on my experience. So these are the things. And it's always like I supplement them with different ways of communicating with people, using visuals. So just to get the most use out of people, I have to create a lot of tools. So this is how I thrive with this environment of science and technology merge, you know. We can't talk to them, we can't talk to the engineers, we can't talk to the scientists without all this bridging the gap, using the tools, using the graphics. So now it's my exhibitions now, which is the result of all these practices that I'm doing. Co-creation, narrativity, digital art, tools, all these processes. So the first exhibition that I'm showing here is the Story of Energy. This is in collaboration with Trondheim Commune, and then also our project called, what do you call this? Positive City Exchange. It's like a positive energy block in Trondheim, you know. It's an EU project from Horizon 2020, and our task is actually to make the invisible visible, as you said, no? So it's really, really important for us to make this invisible visible. It doesn't have to be in a graphic or printed form. It can be in any medium, actually. I have to use different formats. When you say interdisciplinary, and now it's digital, maybe we can make the most use of digital age, you know? So to visualize energy is hard. How do you visualize energy? But yeah, of course you can. I see a lot of strange or good paintings with burning fire or sun, but then to visualize it for me is like I take the real data from the environment. For example, here in Trondheim, as you can see, I'm taking the wind data. Wind is one form of an energy. How does it influence a certain object? For example, here I use the, what do you call this? A leaf, no? The leaf is flowing based on the current wind. And this kinetic energy, kinetic object here is also moving based on the wind. And then you can drag it, and it will drag back because of the wind. So there is this interaction between the users and the object and the environment, which is, of course, not so visible if you're like in a hurry. You're not. And there's also this story behind it, like. So we use visible. I mean, making things relatable, more visible to users, more visible to the viewers by using all these visual forms. So here, the engagement is the visitors can engage with live or current data about energy use, allowing them to see how their own actions might affect energy consumption patterns. This interaction prompts them to think about their daily habits and how these habits impact both the environment and the physical spaces around them. So, and then the community, you know, Trondheim has this particular call of action. At the end of this, all this story that I created and co-created, what they want to, what Trondheim Kommune actually, based on our co-creation, is that they want to call for an action. They want everybody to participate in this energy building blocks. So the Trondheim Kommune helped shape the narratives presented, fostering a collective understanding of energy use in the context of our shared spaces. And the impact is the installation sparked dialogues about energy consumption and sustainable practices in Trondheim and our living environment as a whole. So we achieve an aim through digital technology. The next exhibition or the next show that I'm presenting here is that a piece called Reframed Reality. This piece is an interactive auto-ethnography that explores personal and collective narratives about identity, environmental change, and the spaces we occupy. So this is in collaboration with Ellen Foyn-Brun. She's actually a professor in drama, and now she's into voices. She's now she's doing a lot of creative works now in terms of voices. So when you say autoethnography, creators examine their own experiences to explore broader social and cultural contexts, where reframed reality takes it further by inviting audiences to participate. So here it's a long process. So we did this as part of our Artec, which Andrew actually initiated in Trondheim. So Artec is like Andrew. He will explain it to you more later. It's like it's an initiative of art and technology. So here my process is like, as you can see here, it's Ellen performing. While she's performing, this is what I'm doing. I'm taking down notes. All of these are notes. Process by process and process, I put it down here. I take down notes, I draw pictures, I draw everything that I feel about what she's doing, you know. So while Ellen performed and improvised on stage, I was engaged in active observation, taking detailed notes on her transitions in body movements, gestures, and vocal expressions. I also recorded my own feelings and subjective interpretations of the emotions conveyed by her performance, capturing the narrative it invoked in my mind. This reflective documentation process led to a unique parallel narrative that extended beyond Ellen's performance, creating a space for a dynamic dialogue between us. Through this interaction, new layers of meaning emerged, bridging the perspectives of the performer and the observer, and enriching the overall narrative experience. So this is after I build all this. I observe her, I take down notes, I document, then I put them in a computer. You know, I continuously analyze her movements, the data that I collected, and in my mind it's like it's a creative process. What can I do about all these documentaries, all this observe behavior and all? So I continuously observe, and what can I do with that? How can I transform them into a digital interaction? How can the users use this? How can the viewers use all this? How can I make the invisible visible? You know, it's her voice that I'm hearing, but through that voice, I imagine so many things. Through that experience that she's portraying, I mean, through the experience that she's narrating to me, like she's always saying something like, the experience of a wounded researcher. So if you are going to collaborate in an environment like ours, you will be wounded. You know why? Because your voice will not be fully heard. So, I mean, there must be a way for you to compromise. You can be wounded, you can be... From here, I mean, as a woman, you know, it's like in the research field, it's like there's a lot of, as in any other field, I think, it is not only in the research field, but in any other field, we have all this I don't see it as a limitation, but then it's like all these stages in our lives. And this is what I saw with her, based on her narratives, that there is these stages in our life that needs to be visible. And how do we make that visible? It's through this digital narrative. And I think if you are going to interact with my installation, you will feel that it relates somehow to us as a woman, as a researcher, or as a person who, I mean, it's relatable to us as a human being. And I always try to ask that question with me. I mean, how can I relate this to people? How can I make this relatable? How can I make this engaging? How can I make it interesting in a way like that I preserve the idea, I preserve the momentum, I preserve the interactivity that I have within me and that Ellen is performing on stage. And how can the user feel this performance even in the digital form? So all these are my questions when I was documenting this process. Reframed reality navigates the visceral, embodied experience of a wounded researcher in the Anthropocene, confronting societal wounds and personal trauma within a landscape of global change. Embracing experiences unique to women, it delves into the raw realities of body, identity, and vulnerability, exploring how these personal struggles intersect with broader societal and ecological issues. So, by interacting with the screen, users connect individual experiences to broader environmental spatial contexts. Participants are invited to consider their roles in the narrative. Now I want to summarize both projects. Both projects, or most of my projects, actually, demonstrate how digital art can facilitate co-creation and dialogue surrounding the sustainability and dynamics of space. So both of them can just be like this. It's as simple as to facilitate, to demonstrate, to make things relatable. So now my invitation is, I invite you to reflect on how you can use artistic practices and digital tools in your own communities, and to raise awareness and foster collaboration around environmental and spatial issues. So, yeah, thank you so much.